Okay, strap in everyone, because today we're diving into some serious history. A slave rebellion that nearly brought the mighty Roman Republic to its knees.
Yeah, and forget Spartacus for a minute.
Right.
This one goes way back, the First Servile War.
It's wild. I mean, we're talking about an uprising in Sicily, Rome's breadbasket.
Essential for their grain supply.
Exactly. And our source material today lays out just how brutal this conflict was and what led to it. It's a story that doesn't get a lot of attention, which is a shame because, well,
It's got it all, really. Intrigue, larger-than-life characters, and some pretty unsettling truths about power and exploitation.
totally. So to set the stage, we're talking post-Punic Wars, right?
Exactly. Rome and Carthage have duked it out, and Sicily ends up a key part of the Roman Empire. These huge estates pop up, latifundia churning out grain to feed Rome's growing population.
All powered by slave labor.
Unfortunately, yeah. A lot of these slaves were actually prisoners of war from the Punic Wars, or people conquered in other Roman campaigns.
It's easy to say Roman slavery was brutal, but can you paint a picture for us of what that actually meant for these people?
Well, I mean, imagine working under the scorching Sicilian sun day in and day out, with minimal food, clothing, and shelter.
That's just awful.
Punishment was swift and harsh, and disease was rampant. The death rate was unbelievably high, but it wasn't like this was some isolated thing in Sicily, you know?
Right.
This was the grim reality for slaves throughout much of the Roman world.
Brutal. It's no surprise that a rebellion broke out.
Yeah.
And that's where this fascinating figure, Eunus, comes in. The source describes him as a slave who claimed to have prophetic powers, even breathing fire.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on, how do you pull that off?
Yeah.
Was it just a trick, some kind of stage magic or something?
It was almost certainly a stage trick, yeah. But
No.
you got to hand it to him. It was brilliant.
Right.
Think about the impact, right?
Yeah.
Seeing your leader seemingly summon fire, a symbol of power.
Defiance.
Exactly. He gave these desperate people not just a chance at escape, but hope. A vision of freedom.
He gave them something to fight for.
And he was smart about it. Taking the title King Antiochus was strategic. This wasn't just about escaping.
Oh, I see.
He wanted to establish a new kingdom, a direct challenge to Roman authority.
He was playing for keeps.
Absolutely.
The article also mentions another leader, Cleon, operating in western Sicily. Were these guys working together, coordinating their efforts, or was this more like a bunch of uprisings popping up simultaneously?
It's tough to say for sure, but considering the scale and how well coordinated the rebellion was, at least some communication seems likely.
Right. It's just amazing how fast this thing spread. It started with, what, like 400 slaves attacking Anna?
Right, a small band attacking the city.
And within weeks, it explodes into tens of thousands of rebels.
Tens of thousands, yeah. It speaks to the just utter desperation of the slaves, and to the leader's ability to rally them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
They were clearly a force to be reckoned with, at least at first. The source even mentions a few early Roman defeats, which, I gotta say, is pretty surprising. What gave the rebels the edge in those initial clashes?
Well, the Romans were used to fighting in open battlefields, right? Classic Roman formations.
Right, the legions.
Exactly. But the rebels, they used guerrilla tactics, hit and run. They knew the terrain, the hills and valleys of Sicily, way better than the Romans did. I mean, can you imagine the humiliation for Rome being outmaneuvered by people they considered inferior?
Yeah. It's like that classic David and Goliath story.
It is, but of course, as we know, David doesn't always win. Rome wasn't going to take this lying down.
Of course not. They had an empire to run.
Exactly. At first, maybe they underestimated the rebellion, but once they realized how serious it was, well,
They brought the hammer down.
yeah, they sent in Publius Rupilius, one of their top generals, with legions.
The full might of the Roman military machine.
Exactly. Sieges, blockades, they cut off supplies, starved the rebels out. Brutal, but effective.
And that, sadly, was the turning point. Their stronghold, Enna, falls. Cleon dies in battle, and Eunus is captured. What happened to him, to the other rebel leaders?
Well, the aftermath was pretty chilling.
Yeah.
Mass crucifixions, as a warning to anyone else thinking of rebelling. A gruesome display of Roman power.
It's a tragic end to a story that started with so much hope and courage. What do you think the legacy of this war was, the long-term impact?
Well, on a basic level, it exposed this huge crack in Roman society. The system built on slavery, it just wasn't sustainable.
Right.
You can imagine the fear that gripped the Roman elite after this. It didn't topple the Republic, not right away, but it left a scar. It was a sign of things to come. More uprisings like Spartacus's rebellion later on.
Right. And it shows that oppression will almost always lead to resistance.
Exactly.
This deep dive has been really eye-opening. We've learned so much about the sheer scale of this rebellion, these amazing figures like Eunus and Cleon, and just the brutal reality of life as a slave in the Roman world. It's incredible to me that this happened so long ago, but the themes, power, exploitation, the fight for freedom, they resonate so strongly even today.
It's true. It really makes you think, where do we see these same power dynamics at play in our own world? What lessons can we learn from those who resisted oppression in the past, both from their successes and their failures? The First Servile War, as ancient as it is, offers a powerful lens for examining our own times.
It really does. Okay, everyone, that's our deep dive into the First Servile War. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.
Bye.